Welcome back to our channel. Today we are rolling from Animal Kingdom. Yep, we're gonna be rolling one of my favorite ride is gonna be the safari. And this is one of my favorites right here in Animal Kingdom and overall Disney. So we're gonna see a lot of animals and a lot of kind of stuff. So let's check it out, guys.
Bienvenidos a Kilimanjaro Safari.
Asante Sana Water. Now, as we say in Harambe, Twinde, that means let's go. Now, Chambo, everyone. My name is Rachel, and I'll be your safari guide today on this adventure through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, there are some very important rules that we must go over here before we embark on our safari adventure, and that is one, for the safety of yourself, please stay seated with your hands, arms, feet, legs, paws, claws, wings, and tails inside the truck at all times. It is an incredibly bumpy ride. You're gonna hit every single pothole. You know, there's thorny bushes about. You just don't want to get hurt. And now, also, if you have any little ones sitting on your lap, I love it. That's a great thing. Just make sure they stay seated on your lap throughout the entire adventure. We are no longer in the year 1994, so there's no need to recreate the Lion King here this morning. And if you have any things of personal value or anything that is not of personal value, such as cameras, phones, hats, glasses, loved ones, anything else you might think of, please make sure to hold on to them throughout our safari adventure, because if they fall out when we're on the reserve, I cannot stop and get it. I can call someone, get it back to you eventually. It just might have tire tracks. Now, if you got those rules set, hold on to everything, keep your children seated on your laps, and staying seated yourselves, give me that big old thumbs up. Awesome. Now, if you're planning on taking pictures, which I hope you do, make sure those cameras and phones out and ready to be used, as well as set on a fast shutter mode of some kind, because we can't stop for every animal, and every animal doesn't stop for us. So let's get going into the reserve and into the little Ituri forest. Now, a lot of the animals around these parts do tend to be pretty good at hiding, so you're going to want to keep your eyes open for them. Now, you'll see an okapi on your right-hand side. Now, you're going to think the okapi is related to the zebra because of his fancy zebra pants. He's not, though. He's the only living relative of the giraffe. They have similar skeletal structures as well as prehensile tongues. That means they have the ability to use and grab stuff with their tongues. The okapi's tongue can grow to 13 inches long. That's long enough for him to lick his own eyeball and clean out his ears. Now, sometimes around these parts of the forest, we are incredibly fortunate in seeing a very endangered animal. There's only about 5,000 of them left. They're solitary, weigh about 3,000 pounds, and look like a very smooth rock. If you look up there on our left, you'll see none other than a black rhino. They're kind of hiding, maybe. I saw the truck in front of us stop as well, so maybe there's a glimpse of them coming up. Now, black rhinos are, as I said, endangered. There they are, lying by that fallen log. Now, black rhinos, some cultures believe their horns have special medicinal properties. However, they're just made out of keratin. That is the same thing as our fingernails and hair. And yet they are still illegally poached and hunted for them. Now coming up on our left, hiding in the bushes, are some bongos. Now bongos are some incredible hiders. The best hiders you never did see. They are so rarely seen. Their nickname is the ghost of the forest. Both male and female bongos have horns that can grow to about 3 feet long. The male's horns stick straight back, the female's cross behind their head, and both are great for not getting stuck in the bushes. Now we're going to head out of the forest and into an area known as Sahi River. Rivers are a great place to see animals. They love the water. They'll use it for eating, drinking, sleeping, hiding, staying cool. The list goes on and on and on. And well, I won't have time to say it all because we're already here. Now it looks like coming up on our right hand side, we're actually going to see a couple of Nile hippopotami. Now hippos can hold their breath for about 8 minutes underwater. They'll naturally rise up when they need a breath as they sleep. They do prefer to walk or run along the bottom of the water instead of swim. That's how they get their names. Hippopotamus is Greek for water horse. And left side, if you look, there's actually a whole bloat of them on that side of the river. Now, Nile hippos, you'll rarely, if ever, see them up on land during the daytime. They're nocturnal animals, so they're going to spend most of the day asleep in the water, only to go up on land to graze at night. And they have unique noises called wheeze honks, and it's unique to every hippo, much like our own voices. Now, those big white birds with the big yellow beaks on the not-so-big island we just passed, those were pink-backed pelicans. Now, I know I said they're white. Their name says they're pink. Well, they're both. Their backs change from white to pink during their mating season, one of the ways they attract the perfect mate. Now, coming up on our left, you're going to want to look down, but please, please, please stay seated. We're going over a rickety bridge, and below us are Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles are the largest African crocodile. They can grow up to 20 feet long. Now, if you see their jaws open, don't be alarmed. That's how they stay cool, but they can bite down with 2,000 pounds of pressure, letting them hunt prey much bigger than themselves. We're going to head into my favorite part of the reserve, and that is the savanna. On the savanna, you're going to be able to see animals with hooves, paws, wings, and claws. You never know who might say hello on any given day. But before we see any animal life, we're going to take a quick glimpse at some important savanna plant life. It's a large grayish-brownish tree on the right-hand side. That is a baobab tree. Now, baobab trees are nicknamed the upside-down tree, and that's because it looks like its roots are on top instead of its branches. But those are its branches, I can assure you. They just don't have leaves about 9 months out of the year, leading to the root-like appearance. And they can grow to such enormous sizes because of all the water they store in their trunks. We're going to go down a bit of a hill, and as we do, take a look out and around the savanna on our left. You'll see quite a few of the animals we're going to be meeting in just a couple of moments. I see some Ankole cattle, giraffes, springbok. There's a giraffe, as well as the guys with the big horns. Those are Ankole cattle. The gray ones are white-bearded wildebeest, and the small ones are springbok. Now, springbok, they're about 3 feet tall. Fully grown adults. They're brown and white with the razor stripe. They get their name from their jumping abilities. They can jump 6 feet straight up into the air and 13 feet forward. Now, jumping has a special name known as peronking. The Ankole cattle, the guys with the big horns, those horns can grow between 4 and 5 feet long, but are lightweight thanks to a honeycomb structure on the inside used for temperature regulation. They're the only domesticated animals that hang out here on the reserve, originally domesticated by the Watusi people, so they actually have a second name, that is Watusi cattle. Now, besides Watusi, Ankole cattle are nowadays raised by the Maasai people. I'm going to be coming up on our left-hand side. We'll see some sable antelopes. They're the animals, the dark brown ones lying down. Beautiful and majestic creatures. They're the official mascot of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Their horns will curve backwards, which can be great for their protection. It can lend a helping hand in flinging predators off their back if needed. And the darker the sable antelope, the more dominant it is in its herd. Now you'll get another view of some Ankoli cattle coming up on the right. They're off in the distance a bit this time, but they're still there. And these large earthen structures, the red ones, you might start noticing all throughout. The savanna, they're termite mounds. They're hard as concrete, baked by the savanna sun. Now some larger animals, such as elephants, might actually use them as a scratching post. Some of the smaller ones might stand on top to keep an eye out as they look out into the open area. But all termite mounds are made out of the exact same thing: termite, saliva, and mud. Lovely thing to think about. I just choose not to. Now I know we saw one giraffe when we first entered on into the savanna. Now we have the same amount of neck vertebrae as a giraffe. That is 7 neck vertebrae. Imagine how big theirs must be, especially if they can grow to 18 to 20 feet tall. Now, a giraffe's tongue is proportional to its height, so an 18-foot giraffe can have an 18-inch prehensile tongue, perfect for grabbing those just out of reach leaves and branches on the trees. You're going to get another glimpse of that giraffe kind of briefly as we make this turn on your right. On top of a giraffe's head are not horns. They're called ossicones. They're 100% bone, extensions of the skull covered in skin and fur. Since they are not horns, they are not used for protection because they're bone. What a giraffe uses for protection is actually its very powerful legs. And they stay incredibly alert during the day, spending most of their time eating. Now, because they are so alert, they don't really need to sleep. Giraffes only sleep about 30 minutes a day. And that's taken in 5-minute increments. Now we're going to get another glimpse of those white-bearded wildebeest on our right-hand side. They're a bit more visible. Wildebeest actually have a second name. It's going to be Gnu. It's spelled G-N-U, and it's after that low grunting noise that they make. And we're going to see another view of some more giraffes, including a fairly young one. Now, when giraffes are born, they're about 6 feet tall, and they'll start to walk within the first 15 minutes of their life. Now there's so many giraffes here, it's a full-on group of giraffes. And a group of giraffes is known none other than a tower.
Look at that thing.
And it looked like they were all Maasai giraffes. We can tell because their spot pattern is very messy and irregular. You can see the jagged edges of the spots. Most people are, of course, familiar with the kind on your spotting guide, a reticulated giraffe. They have very straight and neat spots. Coming up on the right, you'll notice a brown antelope, kind of light in color. That's a Patterson's eland, one of the largest. There's actually 2. One of the largest antelope species. 3. A fully grown adult male can be about 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh 2,000 pounds. Even with all that size, they can jump 8 feet straight up into the air. We were actually looking at mostly female Patterson elands, so imagine how big the males can be. Now we're going to head on into a part of the savannah that is lovingly nicknamed as elephant country. That's because there's a tendency to see elephants around here. Pretty big, so they're not too hard to miss, but they're migratory. So So they're gonna go where their matriarch, the big lady in charge, takes them. And that's where she thinks it's the safest and there's the most food and water available to their family herd. Now, family herds do consist of adult females and juveniles of either gender, while male elephants leave family herds around adolescence, only returning from mating season. Now, if you look on our left, it's not an elephant, but it's a monkey, and there is an elephant on our right. Now, that on our left are some mandrills. Mandrills are the largest monkey species. The males can be 100 pounds and are recognizable from their vibrant red and blue face and bottom markings. Now, because I don't see any other elephants around, I'm going to say that's most likely a male we're looking at. As I said, they live solitary lives away from the family herd, but don't worry too much, they'll form loose bachelor groups from time to time. Now, here's a bit of unfortunate events, but the shortcut I normally take, it's closed. There was a bridge there, not anymore. So instead, we're gonna have to take the scenic route. The scenic route's nice. There's a lot of trees, you know. Trees are nice. There's this bridge. It's a little worse for wear, old, and don't worry about the dents. There are only a few for me. Oh, look, to distract you from the bridge, an elephant. Yep, just look at the elephant. No need to listen to this bridge and the noises it is making, because they are not noises that you should be hearing at all. Yep, okay, we are safe, we're good to go. And once again, to distract you, on your left is water. Okay, let's keep on going, see what other animal friends we can find. Now, if you look on your right and left hand side, there's going to be some tusk marks in the red clay and some elephants on our left. Now, the elephants like to eat the red clay. They eat it for vitamins and minerals inside. Essential part of their diet, it's like taking their daily vitamins. Their diets also include leaves, grass, fruits, and roots. Not only is the red clay part of their diet, but it is a part of their habitat. And because we humans also use the red clay for minerals, it can not only harm the elephant's health, but where they live. Now, we use the red clay for something called coltan. Coltan is used inside of cell phones, laptops, tablets, and other small electronic devices. So if you want to help the elephants recycle those devices, they can then reuse the coltan, mine less of the red clay, and keep the elephants' bellies full and them happy and healthy, as well as their habitat intact. And if you guys look right there by the baobab tree, there's a young one, a fairly recent addition to this family herd, maybe just under a year old. And when an elephant's born, they can weigh about 300 pounds, and that's after 22 months of pregnancy. During the day, an elephant can hang out with their whole family herd, aunts, cousins, mom, but at night, they always have to go back to their mama. It's like a curfew. How they stay cool. Elephants cannot sweat like you and I, so instead they flap their ears. That sends cool air over all the blood vessels inside, cooling the blood and cooling the rest of their body. They will also throw dirt or mud or water on their backs. That's another way to stay cool and protect their sensitive skin from the sun. It's like elephant branded sunscreen. Now, coming up on our left is a small tropical isle full of a flamboyance of greater flamingos. Now, greater flamingos, I see we have some big fans over here. Now, greater flamingos are the largest flamingo species. They're also the lightest pink. They'll get their pink coloring from their diet of shrimp, which contains beta-carotene. Carotene is what turns them pink. Now, there's actually appears to be some young flamingos in this flamboyance, about 3 months old. They're the gray ones with the blue beaks. They'll get their complete pink coloring within the first year or two of their life. Get a glimpse of some zebras. Oh, and there's a white rhino. Didn't even see him. Now, first with the zebras, because we saw them first and they're going to be a bit closer up to that. You might be asking that age-old question, are they black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Well, the zebras that tend to hang out with us here are black with white stripes. We can tell because their noses are solid black. A zebra stripe pattern goes all the way down to its skin, and it's unique to each and every single zebra, much like our own fingerprints. And it's a form of group camouflage, so when a whole bunch of zebras are together, they'll actually confuse predators by their stripes because they'll blend and meld together, making an almost static-like appearance. And then the white rhino. Well, you might notice the white rhino isn't white. He's gray. Yep, it's kind of crazy. You see, they don't get their name from their color, but from the French languages are tricky. Dutch settlers that spoke Afrikaans would call those guys wijd. Wijd means wide, and that's because they have a wide, flat jaw for eating grass off the ground, compared to the narrow, pointed jaw of their black rhino cousin. Now, that Afrikaans word wijd sounds an awful lot like white. Now, if you look up towards the trees on our left, you might be able to spot a cheetah. I think we're going to get a better glimpse at a cheetah in just a moment. I saw one kind of moving around over here, a bit closer to us. There they are, lying down. Now, cheetahs are the fastest land mammal. They're way towards the back, near that fence kind of thing. They can run an average speed of about 60 miles per hour and a top speed of 70 miles per hour. They're actually daytime hunters, unlike most large cats, because they have excellent vision. They have these black teardrop shapes under their eyes that help reflect light away from their eyes to make it easier for them to see. And they can purr like our kitty cats back at home. They're the largest cats with the ability to purr. And speaking of big cats, here's the rock formation known as a kopie. It's a great place to see big cats and predators. They sit around to watch their territory, and it looks like there's a big cat lying around right now. And if you couldn't tell from that horrible, horrible pun, it's a lion. Now, one way you can tell a big cat is because they have the ability to roar. A lion's roar can be heard from about 5 miles away. They'll sleep or rest between 16 and 20 hours a day, with most of their activity during the nighttime hours. Because of this, they have several advantages. So during the day, we'll have the same level of eyesight as a lion, but at night, theirs is 6 times better than ours. They also have specially padded paws that make it so they are incredibly quiet and thus incredibly stealthy while stalking their prey. Now, I saw some more animal friends going to be coming up in just a moment. But if you look as we make this turn on our left, you'll see a warthog sleeping. Warthogs are the largest burrowing animals. They'll back up on into their burrows, so their tusks are exposed for protection. They'll also dig the burrows out with their tusks or steal them from other animals. Now, we're going to see a white rhino again, as well as some ostriches, all on our right-hand side. Now, you might see that ostrich running around. You see, they're the largest bird species, but they cannot fly. But they can run 40 miles per hour. And being the largest bird species, they of course have the largest eggs. Their eggs can weigh about 3 pounds. That's the equivalent to 2 dozen chicken eggs. The eggs are so strong that an adult man can stand on top of them and they wouldn't break or even crack. And ostriches are known as colonial nesters, so a whole bunch of them will lay their eggs together in a single nest, about 75 eggs in total. The primary breeding females will be in the center, all the other ladies around her. Now, if you didn't get a close enough view of the ostriches, we're going to get a lot closer. Here's one just hanging out on our right. Hello there, lovely lady. Now we can tell she is a lady because female ostriches have a brown or grayish feather compared to male ostriches that have a black feather. Now this area of the reserve tends to be pretty quiet. There's a lot of water. It can be a good place for watching some birds. Now it looks like there's some yellow-billed storks coming up in a pond on our right. Yellow-billed storks are known as opportunistic omnivores. Fancy way of saying they'll eat whatever they can get their beaks on. They'll follow crocodiles through the water, eating whatever the crocs might stir up or leave behind in the mud. Their wingspan is about 5 feet, very close to my height, just for a little bit of perspective. Now these gates we are passing through do unfortunately signal the end of our adventure here today on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Thank you oh so very much for joining me and seeing all these amazing animals. Now remember, it's our job to make sure they survive and thrive so future generations can see and appreciate them just like we did here today. So recycle as much as you can, buy sustainable products, and donate to conservation funds like the Disney Conservation Fund. You can donate to them at almost any store inside the Animal Kingdom, including the ones right out in Harambe Village. And every donation you make will be matched dollar for dollar by the Walt Disney Company, and you can end up with a pretty nifty button with a baby elephant from right here on the reserve, or a sea turtle. Now, listen up, wilderness explorers, because your code word for today is Simba 1. That's correct, you have been riding on none other than the Simba 1. And if you're up for more animal adventures, make sure to check out the Gorilla Falls Trail. There you can see gorillas, meerkats, birds, reptiles, and so many other animals we didn't get to meet on our safari adventure, and a couple we did, like the okapi. Now here in Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye. It's much too sad and much too final. We prefer the Swahili term kwaherini. Kwaherini means to go well. So go well, my friends, and enjoy the rest of your time here in Harambe, wherever your travels may take you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Folks on the right hand side of the truck. Watch your hands and feet. These doors are going to be sliding out open. Watch up, down, high step. First row. Watch the post.
Kwaherini, everyone, and asante sana. Thank you so much for joining us.